Okay, I think I'm live. It's telling me I'm live. So, welcome everybody to this 2026 tarot card pull. So, what we're going to do is we are going to pull a horoscope spread for the year ahead. I do this every year. I've been doing it for years. I don't even know how long I've been doing it, but it's been a long time. And so basically, it's the wheel of the year with the 12 months and also the 12 houses in astrology. But we're going to talk about that more as we go through it. But yeah, so welcome. It's a bit cloudy here today. I'm moving, so it's a little bit of a chaotic energy, kind of, but still good. I have not pulled my personal spread yet um, this year, which because I just realized that when I got on to do this, I was like, wait a minute, I didn't even do mine yet. So anyway, I'm gonna try to keep the chat so I can see you. So the idea is you can pull along with me. So hopefully you have a deck in front of you. If oh no, something says it's overloaded. Encoding overloaded. I don't know what to do about that. Can everyone hear me okay? Julia says hi. Am I coming through okay, Julia? Is it, or am I freezing? Let me see what Julia says. It's always something, I'm telling you. Well, Julia still just says hi. Um, hmm. Oh, well, maybe it's not overloaded anymore. I don't know. I'm praying this is okay. I'm praying it's okay. She said low volume. I raised it. So, okay. All right. So, other than that, I guess we're doing okay. All right. All right. So, let's go. So, this is what we are going to. Let me share my screen. This is the spread that we are going to do. And if you want this spread, it's a whole workbook. It's several pages. If you want this whole workbook spread, you can get it inside the Tarot Underground on Circle. And there is a link in the description to join this completely free group. And then there'll be I'll show you it later. Under one-page classes, you'll see this live stream, and then the workbook will be there. But anyway, this is what we're doing. This is going to be the spread. So as I said, it's set up like your horoscope with all of the houses 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And these serve dual duty as the months. So this is the first month of the year, January. This is the 7th month, July. Yeah, so there's a couple different layers to this spread. And what we'll do first is we'll figure out your year card, because everybody's going to have a personal year card. And it's just based on straight up numerology, what tarot major arcana card corresponds to your year card. And then there's a crossing card with obstacles. So just briefly, I wanted to say, like, why you might be looking at this and go, why is 1 over here? Like, if this was a clock, this would be a 9, and you're like, why is that like that? So let me just briefly explain that. Because when you have an astrology chart erected right here at quote unquote 9 o'clock, that is the eastern horizon. And that is the first house in astrology. And then they go around like this. And so just FYI, anytime you're looking at your astrology chart, this is the horizon. And then this is east, this is west, this is north, this is south. So it's a compass, but it's flipped to how we're normally used to seeing it. And so I put like these stars here because this is, you can't, anything that's here in your astrology chart was visible. Like you could look up in the sky and see it, granted that it was nighttime, but it may not have been nighttime when you're born. But like, just pretend you had some kind of blackout screen. You could, anything that was here you could see. All of this is on the other side of the planet and you can't see it. So I just wanted to just say that briefly, because you can lay it out like a clock, like this. You could, if that makes more sense to you. But like every time I try to do it, being an astrologer, it just, it does, I'm like, wait, what? And it doesn't make sense to me, so I don't do it that way. And if you wanted to, you could make one right here. So it's up to you. I just wanted to just explain that up front so people weren't getting confused about the numbers and not understanding the order on the numbers. So moving on, like I said, each of those numbered houses is going to double as a month, and then also an astrological house. And so you can see this chart here it's numbered with the first house starting on the far left center of the page and going around, or at 9 o'clock and going around. So this is just like a cheat sheet to let you know what those houses mean. But we're going to be going through it step by step, so don't freak out. Don't freak out. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is calculate your soul and your year cards. Because if we're going to calculate, we might as well just calculate your soul card to start with, even though it's not going to be used in this spread. And then your year card is a similar calculation, but for the current year, not the year you were born in. So in this example, this person was born January 9th, 1976. So what you do is you add all the numbers together. So 1 plus 9 plus 1976 equals 1986. Then you add each digit of the sum together until you get a number between 1 and 21. Why a number between 1 and 21? Because there are 22 major arcana cards in the tarot. And so instead of like in numerology, we would get a number from 1 to 9, but we're going to map it to a tarot major arcana card. So we're going to use 1 and 21. And then you may be saying, well, geez, what about the Fool? Personally, the way I like to do it is the Fool is number 0, which you cannot add anything and get 0, right? There's no way to add things together and get 0. So I just leave the Fool as he is, as a 0, floating in that space between, the material world and this spiritual stuff, or the spiritual soup from whence we all came. So that's the way I do it. If you want to use the Fool, then he would be number 22. But like, to me, it doesn't make a lot of sense. But go ahead. If you want to, the Fool would be 22. So you would keep adding until you get a number between 1 and 22 in this case. So back to our example. We added 1, 9, 1976, got 1986. Add 1, 9, 8, and 6. We got 24. So that's not a number between 1 and 21. So we have to add again 2 and 4, and we get 6, which is the Lovers. So in a minute, I'm going to pop over to the chat and see if you have questions, or you're stuck, or you want me to calculate your card. Let me know in the chat. Okay, so that's your soul card, and like I said, we're not using that one, but that's just an FYI. So the year card is calculated the exact same way, except you're going to use whatever year you're interested in, which in this case happens to be 2026. So you'll add the month of the birth, day of birth, and the current year. So in this example, January 1, 9th, 9 plus 2026 is 2036. Add 2 plus 0 plus 3 plus 6, and we get 11, and that's Justice. So for this particular example, the tarot card is Justice. The tarot year card is Justice. Okay, I'm going to pop over here to the chat. I see, okay, All right. So Dolores is asking, are we using just the major arcana? No, we're not. When we calculate your year card, we are using just the majors because we're gonna, like I said, we're gonna reduce between for a number between 1 and 21. But I was just watching the screen flash and it was like it's distracting me. It's like the feed is very behind what I'm saying in real time. Anyway, yes. So major arcana for your year card only, but the rest of the spread is the whole deck. Whole deck on the rest of the spread. Okay. So if, like I said, if you catch up and you're confused about your year card, just put it in the chat and we'll talk about it. And in the meantime, I will move on. Okay. So now the next step here is to lay out the horoscope spread, which I'll go back over here and we're going to lay it out like this. Now let me go to the card cam and I've already got one laid out. There we go. We're laid out. And I pre-laid this out because as you can see, it was a tight fit. So I wanted to not have to mess with the cards while I was live. So here we go. So we're just pretending that whoever this spread is for, this is a strength year for them, 8. And this is the Tarot of the Light Seers, in case you're wondering. I just, for some reason, wanted to use this deck. So this person's year card is 8, strength. And then we put 1 crossing card, which like represents obstacles for the year. Then we do, this is card 1, at least the way I'm doing it, okay? And 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Okay, so here we go. So when I do these, what I'd like to do first is just take a look at everything that's there and just kind of get a feel for it. Like what stands out, what looks like's happening, what looks like a theme, what looks like, whatever. Does this look, does it look calm? Does it look active? Does it look very emotional? Does it look like there's a lot of people involved? Like whatever impression you get. So when I look at this, it looks to me and feels to me like there's a lot of movement this year, but it's not necessarily crazy movement. So I mean, I'm getting this idea of movement with this 9 of Cups here at the top, just because she's kind of leaping, and then we've got this Knight of Pentacles, and he's walking, and then the wheels are spinning, and then we've got the Chariot, and that's moving, and so that's what I'm saying. It feels like a certain amount of movement, but it's not like crazy, like busting out of the starting gates kind of movement. And notice here that the card in this first house here is the Fool, which I find quite interesting. So yeah, I mean, we can go, okay, Fool is a brand new slate, chapter turn. We've got the Death card over here in the 11th house. So there's some turnover. There's some turnover and there's some movement this year. The next thing I like to do, and this is just an example reading. So like if you want to like pretend this reading is for you, go for it. But if you want to pull your own cards, pull your own cards. The next thing I like to do is just take note of how many Wands, Cups, Swords, and Pentacles there are, and Major Arcana cards. So this seems like there's kind of a lot of majors, which once again, that points to a lot of shifting. So for majors, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, and 6, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. I'm not going to count the year card because we purposely picked a major for it. So 6 out of 12. 6 out of 12. 6 out of 12. Yeah, there's going to be some movement this year. And so then as far as like wands, do we have wands? I don't see a wand. Am I missing a wand? I don't see a wand. I don't see wands, which is interesting because wands are quite active. But like I said, I felt like it's movement, but not like real fast movement. So that could kind of explain the lack of wands. Cups, we've got the ace here and the 10. And that looks like, and 3 cups. Okay, so there's a lot of relationship work, fulfillment. A lot of times with cups, it can be about like filling yourself up kind of idea. So that's cups. Swords. We've got a 7. And I think that's it. So that's nice. We got a 7 of swords and that's it. And then pentacles, we've got the page, we've got the 10, we've got the knight. We've got 3 of them. So once again, it really speaks to like there's going to be some progress, forward movement made, but it's going to be on stable foundations, and it's going to be steady movement, not like, oh my God, my house burned down and then I had to leave and then I had to go here and then I had to go there. Not really that kind of movement. It's like methodical movement that you have control of. So that is nice. Okay. So let me go back to the chat and then we'll see where we're at if people are asking questions. Okay. So the chat. Okay. Okay. Julia says her year card is the Chariot. Ali Oop says, aside from year card, are you just shuffling deck and placing cards? Yes, that is exactly what we're doing. So yeah, the year card you calculated, you put it down, and then everything else you're just pulling straight out of the deck. In the format that you want it. If you missed the beginning part, oh well. I'm not going to explain it again. Julia says she has 5 major arcana cards, which that's pretty serious. This one had 6. And Julia says she's got 1 cup, 4 pentacles, 1 cup, 4 pentacles, 2 wands, no swords. Congratulations on the no swords. I just say that because swords, they can be problematic. They can be pointing out where adjustments need to be made and things need to be configured and, all that kind of stuff. And generally, we don't like that too much. I mean, swords could be something like it, it could be a year of strategizing and doing a lot of mental work and maybe writing and stuff like that. But, every swords have their reputation. So that's good. Okay. All right. So there we are. So if you were doing the horoscopes, or if you were doing the workbook, let me see where we are. Okay. Let me go back to second screen. Okay, second screen. So at the end of the workbook, there's a place where you can write down all your cards. And then I put a little cheat sheet in there for your year cards. So Julia mentioned she had the Chariot. A year of momentum. You steer beasts instead of being dragged by them. Discipline unlocks velocity. You break through one big wall. Keep your focus so you don't overturn the Chariot. So that's a good one. The Chariot's a good year. I'm in my Hermit year, so I was in the Chariot 2 years ago, and I feel like it did have good momentum. I'm looking forward. Having the Hermit as my year card it's a bit strange, because because there are a lot of things that I'm doing, and I'm already moving, and it's not even the beginning of the year yet, and I've got plans for the tarot business and all this. But at the same time, I am looking forward to some more inner work. I've done a lot of inner work here in the strength year. Oh, Lord have mercy with the inner work happening this year, 2025. Oh Lord. So anyway, I'm hoping that, because strength, this really was a strength year. I really was pushed to my limit and tried. And a strength year doesn't always have to be that way, but it was for me. So yes, I'm looking forward to the Hermit year. Okay. So let me see if there's anybody else's that I might throw out a few thoughts. Alley-oop says strength card is associated with fire, wands. Good point. Dolores says she has the Hierophant. Okay, so let's look at the Hierophant. A year of lineage. Old teachings find new uses. Ritual becomes scaffolding. You mentor and are mentored in equal measure. So there you go. That's a very poetic take on the Hierophant. A lot, and another thing that can come up with Hierophant years is like hierarchical stuff, like working within a system and like figuring out your place in a system or learning the ropes in a system, which that kind of goes into that teaching and mentoring thing too, where it's like you're learning the ropes, you're learning the system, that kind of stuff with the Hierophant. So there you go. Okay. We're getting through this. I thought this was going to take forever. We're getting through this. What else can we talk about with? Let's go back to the houses and all of that. So if you have your workbook, or when you get your workbook, you can look on this chart for like the house meanings. So let me switch to the card cam, and we can walk through this spread house by house, and talk about the crossing card too. Okay, so all right, so we have the strength year. So this is about working from the heart, being courageous, having perseverance and patience. The strength cards, it resembles Leo. I mean, we cannot dismiss that fact. And I think Alley-oop said it connects with the Wands card. So it has a fiery nature to it, if you will. And that is interesting because this year ahead in the Chinese zodiac is Fire Horse. So yeah, that just sounds like busting down gates to me. Which like I said, this spread doesn't seem so crazy and agitated like that. Plus, we also have Saturn and Neptune will be in Aries. They were for a little bit this last summer, and then they retrograded back into Pisces. But they will both be back in Aries in February. Neptune goes back in at the end of this month, and then Saturn goes in on February 14th, Valentine's Day, just so you know. So that there should be, like, on the world stage, that there should be some stuff happening this spring. Let's put it that. Things will be popping. Okay, and so then this obstacles card is like, okay, like what do you need to overcome here in the strength year in this example? And we have the 10 of Cups. So, the 10 is a card of completion, and it's emotional fulfillment. So, maybe this is saying for the obstacles with the 10 of Cups and the obstacles, it's like it's gonna take a little bit to get to that. It's not saying you won't get to that, like emotional fulfillment and completion and like the happily ever after, and this is how you wanted everything to work out. But it's going to take it with the strength card. It's going to take some strength and perseverance to get there. So from there we go to the first house, and like I said, that was the Fool. And so the first house is kind of like a catch-all house. It's all about you. It can be about what you look like, how you project yourself. It can be about your health, your character. So like so many things can fall into this first house, but this is basically like you and your you and your whole life is right here in the first house. So if I was reading for you, I'd be like, okay, this with the Fool year, you're going to look back and go 2026 was the year when blank blank blank, because that the Fool is a very powerful card. Like I said, this is blank slates. To me it's like you can write whatever you want on that blank slate. It's a chapter turn. It's like we're starting something brand new in 2026, okay? And then as we go through, maybe we'll pick apart a little bit of what that is. The second house is the house of your resources. It's the house of your earnings. So like this is usually one of the houses, the money houses, like this is how you make money. This is money that's incoming. This is resources you have to do things with. In the second house, like in Vedic astrology, this even goes kind of like over to your family and your inheritance kind of stuff. But basically, it's your resources. It also has to do with your mouth and anything you put in your mouth. Astrology is strange. When you're around it a long time, you get used to these kind of things. But if you're not, you're like, it's your mouth. It's your mouth. And when Pluto went into my second house, it's been like 2 years now, almost, I think. I just started the keto diet. Not for any particular reason, like I wasn't looking for a diet, but I just like kind of found a book about it and I was like, oh wow, this makes sense, I'll try it. So I just found that very appropriate that as soon as Pluto went into the second house, I started the keto diet. That's just an example. In the example of this person, we have the Seven of Swords. That is the only sword on this spread, and Seven of Swords. That this can be a tricky card. So I would, if I was talking to this person, I would be like, don't try anything tricky with your finances. Like play it straight this year. Don't do any creative financing. Don't be like, well, I'll plan on making this payment or whatever because I'm probably going to get a raise later. Like, don't do any of that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Just like play it straight. Just play it straight this year. Third house here is your siblings. That's your neighbors and neighborhood, and that's kind of like your little immediate surroundings and like things that you do every day in places that you go every day. Like you go to the same coffee shop and you go to this restaurant a lot. It's like, it's like that. It's like your neighborhood kind of stuff. It reminds me of Sesame Street. For those of you old enough to remember Sesame Street, remember like the whole neighborhood on Sesame Street. It was just a thing. There was Oscar and Big Bird and there was Mr. Hooper's store. That's total third house. And like I said, it's also siblings and like relatives, like cousins and aunts and uncles. So this person has the High Priestess. So as far as that goes, I would say just kind of listen to the intuitive nudgings around all those topics that I just talked about. So like, if you're getting some kind of feeling about your neighborhood or your neighbors or something on those lines or whatever, it's like just listen to those nudges. And I would say also like maybe there's something there that like needs to be explored from the past or something, and you're somehow picking up on I could almost see this as like exploring graveyards where you live. It just like doing some kind of uh, psychic, intuitive activity around something that is in your, like I said, your immediate environment or with like your relatives or something. I don't know if I want to stretch it as far as like doing genealogy, but like if that was your intuitive nudging that you wanted to do genealogy, I would say do it. I would say do it. So that's my take on that. And then just as a reminder, the other layer of this is January, this is February, this is March. So you can just use these as kind of like little key cards for the month as they come up. So I do this spread and I keep it in the front of my tarot journal, so I always know what month I'm on, and I just keep that in mind and see how it plays out. So let me go take a peek at the comments and see if anybody has questions or is saying anything. Okay. Do we change years with the calendar on January 1st or our birthday? It's January 1st. January 1st. That is a good question because I tried it both ways you can see it from both ways, right? You can see it like, oh, birthday to birthday, or oh, January 1st to January 1st. I think the big problem with doing it from birthday to birthday is depending on when if your birthday is in December, like my mom, she's basically a year behind. Do you see what I'm saying? It's like her year card it's like a year behind. So, and then if your birthday is like June, it's like you're half a year behind. And so they say, or what I've heard people say about like if you do it birthday to birthday, that half a year or whatever is a transition zone. But then I'm like, that doesn't make sense. That does not make sense. That, like I said, let's use the June birthday. If your birthday is June, and so your year starts the second half of the year and the first half is a transition zone. My birthday is August. The first 8 months would be a transition zone. I don't like that so much. That's just me. That's just me on that one. Okay, Julie says, challenge card is the Emperor. Okay, so the first thing that came to mind with that was like setting boundaries. And also like just like being the king of your kingdom. Practice being the one in charge. That's your obstacle, like to keep everything the way you want it in your kingdom. Okay. The question regarding years above was meant regarding our personal year. Yes, that's how I answered it. And somebody says, can you wish that somebody passes his exam? Okay, I wish that person passes their exam. So back to the reading. Okay, all right. So now here we are, fourth house, which this is your home. This can be like literally your home. It can be your family, your foundations. It's like house of father is here. So there's a lot of it's a lot of foundational stuff, and like I know for me, like the fourth house, a lot of that stuff, I have planets there and everything. That is a lot about like my emotional foundations. For someone else, it might not be. Like I said, it could be about land. Like if you own land, your family owns land, buying land, selling land. That's all fourth house stuff. And like I said, house is the actual house you live in. So for this person, the Ace of Cups. So this is something new in the home front or the emotional foundations front. I would almost even say like, okay, even though fifth house is children, you could kind of stretch it and say, okay, maybe you're having a baby, or maybe there's a grandbaby coming in. Or it could just be like happiness and satisfaction with your home and your home life and your foundations and like all of that kind of stuff. And so that fits with this Fool card here is like, this is like a new chapter. So maybe part of that is a new home. We don't know, but if I had somebody in front of me, I would be asking them about that. But this is just an example. So that is the fourth house, or April. And then we have fifth house, May here, and we have the Page of Pentacles. And so, like I said, the fifth house is about children. So it can be things like being pregnant, or it can be about the children that you have, whether they're adults or kids or whatever they are. The fifth house is a weird house because it's about like gambling. It's about entrepreneurial ventures. It can be about a bit of like travel kind of things. It's creative works. So yeah, so the fifth house is a lot about like where you use your creative energy. And so we have the Page of Pentacles. So that with the page there, it's like this is an exploration of something that is providing like material stability. So like this could be playing around with things, like playing around, like I said, from an entrepreneurial vantage point, like products, offers, like investigating that. Maybe you're looking for some place to house your entrepreneurial venture. Maybe your children are looking for a house, or maybe they're looking for a job with Pentacles, job. Yeah, you might be scouting around, just looking for things that support your creative ventures. So, I don't know. Is that clear? I feel like that wasn't very clear. But yeah, it's like the material support. So, it's not really so much loans and stuff, but it could be. It could be. Yeah, so I would just say like, yeah, maybe new job, new products, new job for your children, new side gigs, new creative processes. Like maybe you're trying to find a hobby, because hobbies would be here. You're trying to like exploring different hobbies and seeing like what's something you would want to do over a longer period of time. That's what I would say. Sixth house, this is a house of, this is the health house. This is a house of like chop wood and carry water. That's what I call it, like the daily routines, the things that you do day in, day out. This can be like a 9-to-5 job here. So that is the sixth house. So we have the Chariot. And so with the Chariot, focus is important, and as we saw with Julia's year card. So things could be moving fast here. I think this is the one place where I said like there's change and there's movement. Because this particular Chariot looks fast. Not all Chariot cards look fast, but this one looks pretty fast. So it's like, when it comes for this person, when it comes to like I said, that maybe they're 9-to-5, their routines, their health, things are going to be moving fast, so they need to stay focused about where they want to go, so they don't get drugged somewhere and they don't want to be drugged. So so there you go. And with the Chariot too, like the Chariot is about vehicles, so it's like a lot of times I'll ask people like, what vehicle do you want to get where you're going? So like I said, if this was like a 9-to-5 job, or even if it was like a health, what vehicle do you want to use? Like I mentioned, like keto diet. It's like if you want to lose weight or something, like what vehicle do you want to use? Do you want to use like a diet? Do you want to use exercise? Do you want to take a pill? Like what, what I mean? What vehicle do you feel like, do you want to walk? Like what vehicle do you feel would get you there? So that's something to ask with the Chariot. Okay, seventh house is, in this case, the Ten of Pentacles. So this is a great card to have come up here. This is the house of relationships, seventh house. So it looks like you like big payoffs in relationships. So it's kind of like all the work that you've put in, you get payoffs, and these are going to be long lasting payoffs. Like a lot of these, a lot of the relationships are going to persist for a long time. And so, you know, that's something that may come up in the year ahead. Be like, okay, like what, you know, which of these relationships do I want to invest in? Because they're long term and I'm planning on having these relationships for many years to come. So, you know, which ones where am I going to put my energy as far as relationships go? So, and that's the second 10. We've got the 10 of Cups and the 10 of Pentacles. So once again, this is bringing up this idea of things taking time. Which, like I said over here, it's like, yes, you'll get the emotional fulfillment and the good relationships and the happy family and all of that, but it's going to take some time and some investment of resources here with the 10 of Pentacles. All right, let me check the chat. Okay. Julia says, my cards to a single digit to get the Chariot without reducing to a single digit, and saying with the 122, my year card is the Tower. Okay, yeah. So that's something that I can bring up too, is that the, I never know how to do this. Let me put it on me cam, just so you can see me. I'm like talking into space. Yes, so, right, the Chariot is contained within the Tower card. So, yeah, so in your case, Julia, the Tower is your year card. So this is a card, a year of some disruptions. And so with that, you can see how that Chariot fits in there, because it's like it's going to require some focus so that you don't get swept away in all of the changes and the disruption that happens during a Tower year. So yeah, I think it's good to be prepared. It's good. It's good to be prepared and know that it's like, wow, this is there's gonna be some ground shaking, some earthquakes happening with things. And then, you know, with, like I said, you can tease things out of your own personal reading. So that is that. Okay, so that was the end of the comments. All right, let me go back to CardCam. Okay. All right, so now we're on 8th house. 8th house is the house of sex, death, and taxes. It's a shared resource house. So it's like your joint finances with a partner, or it can be your partner's money. It is like payouts that you get not from a 9 to 5 like over here in the 6th house, but like from things like Social Security payments, you know, like payouts from your IRA, or, you know, distributions from that, you know, anything like that, life insurance payouts, that's all 8th house. If you take out a loan, that's other people's money, that's 8th house. So in the case of this person here, we have the Wheel of Fortune. So that means like, yeah, anything could happen. But with the Wheel of Fortune, it's important to like not hide your head in the sand, because with this card I say you can't win if you don't play. So you know, like when your choice is to not make a choice, that's a choice. But that's kind of a Wheel of Fortune thing. So yeah, there's going to be, you don't know if you're going up or coming down with the Wheel of Fortune. There's going to be some spins of the wheel. I would also tell this person, like, pay attention during eclipse times. That's probably when these changes around, like I said, like joint resources, other people's money, payouts that you're getting, or getting a loan, like that's when those kind of surprising, unexpected events might happen. So yeah, that is the Wheel of Fortune. Ninth house is the house, and it's also September. If you're counting along with the month, September, ninth house. That is the house of religion, philosophy, long distance travel, legal things, and it's kind of like the big picture horizon, like kind of like the 10,000 foot view. So with the Knight of Pentacles here, I would tell this person that they're going to be planting seeds this year toward some of those topics that I just talked about, like the big picture view, religion, philosophy, and some of those seeds will nourish them later. So I'm trying to think of an example. It could be about studying something, because it's also higher education. So investing in higher education, taking classes. That's something where, like, that it's gonna pay off later. But it's like you're putting like time, money, and energy into something like that. Time, money, and energy into your spirituality, into a spiritual practice. Time, money, and energy into travel. It could just be travel. It could be travel. You're traveling. So that's a nice card. I like that one. Then we've got the Nine of Cups in the 10th house. So the 10th house is it's your career, it's your reputation, it's your status. So with the Nine of Cups here, it's like here we kind of have this thread of emotional fulfillment running through this reading. So with your career and your reputation, it's like this is a chance for you to really get what you ask for, and so I would I would go to the ocean with a giant bathtub this year, when it comes to career, reputation, matters. And the 10th house is also a house of status. So it's like when you get married, your status changes. When you get divorced, your status changes. So it's those kind of things. So all of that comes into play, but I think look, over here we have the 10 of Pentacles. So I do almost want to say you could get married this year to this person, this imaginary person that I'm doing the reading for. I do want to kind of say, like, you could get married, because if we've got the 10 of Pentacles, which is like the peak fulfillment of long-term relationships, and then with the 9 we've got like this emotional fulfillment, and it's like, opening wide to that. It's like that could be you getting married, so that's nice. That's very nice. See, that's what I'm saying. This reading, it has movement, but not all of it is so jarring. It's not all like, oh, so that's the 10th house, which is October. 11th house, we have the Death card, and on this deck it even says rebirth. It says death, rebirth. So the 11th house is your networks, your social circles, your friends, your friendships, and it's like kind of like your hopes, dreams, and wishes. It is the, what do you call it? The joy of Jupiter. So it's like all these Jupiterian blessings are held in the 11th house. And so there's changes there. There's changes. It's that, over here where I said with the relationships, like where do you want to invest for relationships in the long term? Because some of them are going away. So you might be backing off from groups you used to be very involved in. Some friendships may fade away. Yeah, and just like I said, with hopes and dreams and all of that, you know, some dreams and stuff you have, especially with Neptune going into Aries, starting a new cycle, because Neptune is about your dreams. You might be like, yeah, you know, I always wanted XYZ, but now I don't think I do want that. I don't, and you know, you might be letting some of these dreams go away and be replaced by something new. So that's quite refreshing. I like that. And then finally, we have the 12th house, which is, this is like a hidden house. This is your blind spots. This is a house of like places you get sent away to, like hospitals and prisons and other kinds of institutions, like drug rehab clinics. But just basically, it is like for me, more than anything, it's about like your psychological blind spots. It could be like some of like your karma that you come in with, you know. And so with the Lovers here, the Lovers is about choices. So maybe there are some things that you felt very faded about, or like I said, like, you know, psychological complexes or whatever, that you felt like there's nothing you can do about it, but you actually like become aware enough so that you actually have a choice here. And so it's kind of, maybe it's even like dancing with your what's the word I want? Your things that hold you back, or like your not strong suit kind of stuff. You know what I mean? Or like, it could even be shadow work. You know, you're like dancing with these blind spots with this Lovers in the 12th house, which is December. And so that concludes. We did it. We did the whole reading. Oh my goodness. Let me go back to the me cam. All right, here I am. My hair looks terrible. No, it looks better. Okay. So let me see. More questions. No more questions, comments. Does anyone... So we did that in about an hour, 50 minutes. So that wasn't too bad. So does anyone have anything, questions about anything, or like a card in a particular spot they'd like me to weigh in on? I am happy to do that. I'll just try to keep talking. You know what I'll do while I'm talking? I will show you the Tarot Underground. The way I've been saying tarot is like, the way I said it before, it sounds like I'm from the East Coast. That's weird. I was born on the East Coast. But anyway, I'll show you the Tarot Underground circle group, which is completely free. Completely free. So let me go back to the screen. So here we have, this is the Tarot Underground group. So we have a daily draw space where everybody or people who participate post their daily draws every day. I happen to pull 2 cards a day. You don't have to pull 2 cards a day. You can pull one. See, there's mine. You can pull 1. You can, whatever you want to do, that's fine. And if you need help getting started with the daily draw, then we have a free class called the Tarot Habit, which helps you start a daily draw practice. Let me see. This is showing you everybody that's in there. You don't want to see that. Lessons. Okay. Yeah, so this is the self-paced course of the Tarot Habit. So it's 3 weeks, 21 days. It turned out a little longer than I kind of wanted it to be, but it's okay. It's okay, you know. So yeah, so there's that, and all of this is completely free. Then in addition, we also have more learning here on the 1-page classes. So like I said, the 2026 tarot card spread is here. And this is your workbook that you can download. And the replay will be there. This is another video. I don't even remember what this was. Let's find out what this was. Oh, this I was talking about cards being very literal and using the Lenormand deck. We may have a Lenormand workshop coming up because a lot of people are very curious about Lenormand. So, if you're interested or curious about Lenormand, join the Tarot Underground. We're probably going to have a workshop. I have Tarot Card Candle Magic. That's our other one-page class. And so then we have Tarot Talk, and it's just, you know, people just posting things, asking questions. I put polls in here. I put a lot of polls in here. I like the polls. I get good information from the polls. So yeah, so you know, I invite you to join this group. So let me, yeah, I'll just leave that there. Let me go back to, okay. Yeah, that's it. It doesn't look like there's any other questions, comments, anything else. So yeah, so thank you everybody. This replay will be up obviously here on YouTube and also in the Tarot Underground Circle group. So I'll see you on the next live. Bye.